Here's something that happened at a professional development training I attended recently. A presenter stood up and showed a slide with the NAEP scores, the National Report Card for Reading, and said, "We need less screen time and more print time. That's the solution." And I sat there thinking, that's not wrong, but it's not the whole picture either. And for families with kids with ADHD or dyslexia, it might actually send you in the wrong direction. Because here's the thing, your child is going to take their state test on a computer, college entrance exams are moving digital, and the workforce that they're entering is AI native. We cannot close that door. And if your child has ADHD, dyslexia, or both, the screen isn't just a convenience. For many of these kids, the right digital tools are what level the playing field entirely. So today, I'm going to give you the real picture, what the data actually shows, what the research actually says, and most importantly, what you as a parent can do that schools genuinely cannot. I'm Kelly Sutherland, National Board Certified Teacher Reading Specialist with specialized training in dyslexia interventions. I've spent 25 years in Title I schools working with struggling readers, and I currently teach 5th grade while running Family Learning Adventures, where I help families build the thinking skills kids need inside school today and the AI-ready skills they'll need for life. I want to say something before we go further. And I don't say this from an expert on a pedestal place. I say it as someone who's been in the storm with me. I have ADHD. I raised a son with ADHD and dyslexia, and I know what it feels like to sit across from your child at the homework table and not know if you're helping or making it worse. Let's start with what we actually know. The most recent National Assessment of Education Progress, the NAEP, the nation's report card, and as of this recording, this was coming from about 2024, shows that the reading scores have fallen to their lowest point in decades. This is real data, not media panic. Scores have been declining since 2019, and the pandemic accelerated something that was already in motion. But here's what the headlines leave out. The scores are falling for every group of students, not just kids with learning differences, which means it isn't a special education problem. It's a reading environment problem. For kids with IEPs and 504 plans, kids who are already working harder than their peers just to access grade level text, this matters even more because we cannot afford to close the door on the digital tools that help them compete. So what is actually happening in the brain when kids scroll, swipe, or click all day? Researcher David Levy at the University of Washington coined a term for it, popcorn brain. The idea is that constant digital stimulation, notifications, short clips, rapid switching trains the brain to crave rapid, jumpy input and lose tolerance for slower, deeper processing that builds real comprehension. Your child isn't lazy when they can't sit with a long passage. Their brain has been literally trained to expect something new every 8 seconds. Neurologist and reading researcher Marianne Wolf, she wrote Reader Come Home, calls this the deep reading crisis. Wolf argues that the reading brain we need for comprehension, the one that infers, synthesizes, and creates new thought, doesn't develop automatically. It has to be built through sustained, deep, print-rich reading. And here's where she gets really important for our family. Wolf says we don't have to choose between print and digital. We need to build what she calls a biliterate brain, a brain that can move fluidly between deep print reading and skilled digital navigation. That's the goal. Not less screen time, smarter screen time, alongside intentional print time. And for kids with ADHD, digital text that never stops moving is like trying to drink from a river. The right tools slow that river down. The wrong approach just blames the kids for getting wet. Here's the piece of this puzzle that almost nobody is talking about in media coverage. It's not just screen time that's hurting reading scores, it's the collapse of conversation. Oral language, the ability to listen and respond, build on what someone says, and express a complete thought out loud, is the foundation of reading comprehension. Before a child can understand what they read, they have to have the language to process it. And what's happened over the last decade is the average American family is having fewer and shorter conversations, replaced by parallel screen time, shorter messages, and content consumption instead of content creation. For kids with ADHD, this compounds everything because ADHD parents are often exhausted, and executive function challenges mean that even while families try to have conversations, they get derailed before they go 5 exchanges deep. I call this the ADHD tax on oral language development. It's something we can actually address, but not by doing more worksheets. Effective prior knowledge on good and poor readers, background knowledge overrides reading skills. Here's the most important study I want to share with you today, and I promise it will change how you think about your child's reading struggles. In 1988, researchers Wright and Leslie ran a study with middle schoolers. They divided students into 4 groups based on 2 things: reading ability, high or low, and the knowledge of baseball, high or low. Then they had all 4 groups read a passage about a baseball game and test their comprehension. What they found stopped the reading research world in its tracks. The kids with low reading scores but high baseball knowledge dramatically outperformed the kids with high reading scores but low baseball knowledge. Background knowledge overrode reading skill every time. Now, why does this matter for your family? Because what that study is really showing us is this: comprehension isn't just about decoding words, it's about having something in your brain to connect the words to. Education writer Natalie Wexler wrote an entire book about this called The Knowledge Gap. Her argument is that we've been so focused on reading skills, phonics, fluency, decoding, that we've dramatically underinvested in building background knowledge that makes comprehension possible in the first place. This is not a school problem that schools can fix alone. This is a home problem, and it's a solvable problem. Because here's what the research shows about how background knowledge gets built. It gets built through conversation, through asking questions about the world, and actually discussing the answers, through the back and forth exchanges that happen when the curious kid has a patient adult willing to give 5 rounds on a topic. That is something you can do, and that is something no app can replicate. The 3-part framework. So here's what I want to leave you with today: a 3-part framework for what you can build at home. The first part is intentional conversation, not a curriculum, not a lesson, 5 back and forth exchanges on any topic. That's it. That's the foundation. The second part is text mapping, a visual reading strategy that teaches your child to see the structure of what they're reading before they try to process the content. It works on screens and in print, and it's one of the most powerful tools I use in my classroom. The third part is Notebook LM, Google's AI study tool, which I'll show you how to use as a thinking scaffold, not a shortcut. The way I use it with families actually builds the oral language and comprehension we've been talking about for this whole video. These 3 systems work together, and I'm going to walk you through all of them in the next 2 videos. If you've been watching my videos and thinking, okay, makes sense, but I still feel like I'm doing this alone, I want you to know there's a place for you. My free Learning in a Distracted World community is full of families just like yours, parents navigating ADHD, dyslexia, and other learning differences. all showing up imperfectly and figuring it out together. It's where I share free resources, answer real questions, and where the community shows up for each other. The link is in the description right below this video. Come join us. You belong here. Drop the word reading in the comments and tell me if your child's biggest challenge is decoding words, understanding what they read, or staying focused long enough to get through it. I read the comments, and your answers genuinely shape what I create. So, coming soon is video 2, the 3 systems that help you build the biliterate brain. You can see the link for that when it's live in the description. I also want to invite you to our free Learning in a Distracted World community. This is built just for families of kids with ADHD and dyslexia or struggling readers who want real actionable tools that they can use to help their child succeed not only at becoming better readers, but develop successful learning habits that help them both in the classroom today and in the AI native world of work they will face in the future. I'm Kelly Sutherland, and I'll see you in the next one.